Thanks, David, and congratulations, Max, to you and your entire team at Rev Racing, and to Brian's leadership and our team of Jim Cassidy, Don Harris, Brandon Thompson working together. It's great to see the results that we've had now at the National Series, but just importantly, those people were sitting here in this room just a few short years ago and now competing for wins and for championships at the National Series level. So good luck, no pressure in 2016 for all of you as well. So as Brian mentioned, some exciting things heading into 2016 for us as a sanctioning body. And I want to start off by talking about the great additions with the chase formats being implemented in both the Xfinity Series and the Camping World Truck Series. And just to dive into a little bit more details and showcase how it works, we'll start with the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And we'll have it up on the board here. And Jim Under asked a question earlier about the number of drivers, and obviously in Cup it's 16. So for the Xfinity Series, the number that will be eligible will be 12. The chase will take place over 7 races. That will include 3 rounds. We'll have a round of 12, a round of 8, and then a round of 4. And as one of the questions that was asked earlier, anyone who was a 2015 Sprint Cup Series eligible chase driver will not be eligible to compete in Miami. And again, the reasoning behind that from our standpoint is we want to showcase these young up-and-coming drivers in that event. Importantly as well, in the series, we'll also look at some changes to the NASCAR Dash for Cash. And I know a lot of the motorsports media here understand how the Dash for Cash works. But I think it's important for us to walk through what changes will take place in 2016. So if we look at, go to the next one here for the Dash for Cash. Let me back up, sorry. Let me take you through the trucks as well, just for the details of the trucks in terms of the chase. So the truck field will include 8 drivers, and we'll go from 8 to 6 to 4. And as like we will in Xfinity, the cutoff race will be in Chicago. And on the truck side of things, we'll go from Chicago, we'll have a cutoff race in Talladega, and then Phoenix. So when we get to Phoenix, all 3 series with that final race will go down from 8 to 4. And in all 3 series, we'll have 4 drivers who are eligible in Miami to go out and earn a championship. Why that's important for us, we think the future with Eric Jones can win races. And if you listen to Eric Jones on the radio last year, finished 15th, take care of the truck. The culture we want in our sport is go out there and win the race. And I think everybody here in this room knows Eric Jones is capable of that, and we're looking forward to seeing that type of racing when we get to Homestead in 2016 as well. Going forward, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've got for 2016 from a competition standpoint. We obviously crowned Kyle Busch out in Vegas as our 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. During that time, we also announced that Scott Miller has joined us as our Senior Vice President of Competition. Scott brings with him a wealth of knowledge in the industry. He's already been a huge benefit to us as a company, and I think will really help us, as Brian talked about earlier, working on collaboration with the entire industry. So we're excited about having Scott on board. He'll be here today, and we'll be happy to answer some of your questions, not all, I'm sure. Last year we stood up here, and one of the questions to Brian was about innovation and what's new. Don't want anybody to forget that we introduced the pit road officiating system last year. A lot of questions, would it work? What will the teams think? And I'm happy to report that it was a huge success. So much so that it's going to enable us to build upon it. When you look at the digital dash, how that'll play in, there are some aspects of the pit road officiating system that we can now integrate with the digital dash. So the teams have bought in. It's been hugely successful, and we're really looking forward to adding on to that as we head into the 2016 season as well. And I saw my friend Ed Clark out here sitting next to Mike, so I know Lisa's going to come up and talk about Daytona Rising, but when we leave what will surely be a very competitive Daytona 500, we hit the road and we head to Atlanta. And that'll be the debut of our low downforce package. And everybody is extremely excited about the race in Atlanta. We're looking forward to debuting the rules package. As Brian stated, the drivers and the industry is behind this. There's been a ton of work done by the entire industry. I want to say thank you to the teams, to Goodyear, to the OEMs for really coming together to make that happen. So we'll debut that in Atlanta, and then we'll go back to what was another success last year, the West Coast Swing. We'll all head out and we'll go to Las Vegas, Phoenix, and California. Great success for us from an industry standpoint to have NASCAR take 3 consecutive weekends and go out to the West Coast, and also 3 great races last year, and we expect that to happen as we head into 2016 also. So going forward on what else may be different from an Xfinity and Camping World Series, I want to talk a little bit about the Dash for Cash program and some changes that you may or may not have heard about as we head into 16. So when we look at the Dash for Cash, it's been a popular program, and it will return thanks to our partners at Xfinity, but with some changes. We'll be at some different venues for 2016, Bristol Motor Speedway, Richmond, Dover, and then we'll end in Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And here's how the format's going to work. We'll still have knockout qualifying as we've had in previous years. Knockout qualifying will qualify you for 2 heat races. Put the odd number of qualifiers in one of the heats, even in the other heats, and then we'll have one main event that can range anywhere from 60 laps to 200 laps depending on the size of the venue. The top 2 NASCAR Xfinity drivers from each of the heats will advance to be one of the 4 who will compete for the Dash for Cash in that event. One twist on the end of it, if any of the NASCAR Xfinity drivers wins more than one, so if they win 2 NASCAR Dash for Cash wins, they would also gain eligibility to the chase as well. So another important wrinkle, we're looking at race formats, so we'll have 4 events where we'll change up the formats in the Xfinity Series. Let's jump to the Camping World Truck Series, and we all know that that's a series that historically has been one where we constantly innovate, and that's no different than what we're looking at for 2016. 2016, we're going to be instituting a 20-minute caution clock. Here's how that's going to work. Green flag comes out, starts the race. If after 20 minutes a caution has not come out, we'll display a competition caution. We'll run through the caution laps. We'll go back to green. Caution clock will reset. We'll do that throughout the race until the end. When we get within a window, obviously, where there's less than 20 minutes, we'll turn the clock off. Why is it important for us? We think it's going to add to the strategy during the race. And if you look at the Camping World Truck Series, that is an area where some of our younger drivers, younger teams, newer teams, really can use the competition caution to be able to adjust on the truck. We've seen that in the Cup Series when we've had a competition caution early in the race. It's allowed teams to make some last-minute adjustments in the race. We think that's going to be huge for the teams as well in the trucks throughout the race, and will be implemented throughout the season as we head into 2016. You know, as Brian stated, we've got a ton of excitement throughout our organization, but I think throughout the industry and what we're about to embark on for 2016. We're carrying huge momentum with us from the conclusion of the season last year, so we're excited about what 2016 brings. I know everybody at the R&D and Competition Center is ready to go. I know I've got some questions to take care of in a second, but I want to mention one special guy. A lot of us at R&D are wearing the purple bracelets. One of our good friends, a former official who still works with us at the R&D Center, Todd DeBusk, is in a huge battle with cancer. So I just want to give a shout out online to Todd that we're all standing up with you. We all are thinking about you, and we're all one team. So with that, look forward to working with each and every one of you in the coming year, and we'll hand it back over to David. All right.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. Sounds pretty exciting.
A lot going on.
You're busy in the off season as well. But just to remind everyone that we'll have Scott Miller, who is the recent hire, as well as Richard Buck, Wayne Otten, and Elton Sawyer to answer the bulk of your questions related to this, but thought Steve might be able to touch on a couple of them. But overall, excited about what this means to those 2 series. I know Matt Letter is here from Xfinity. What do you think this will have as an impact for those 2 series in particular?
Well, I think, first giving some credit to Xfinity, an unbelievable partner for us, and has really showcased that series. So when we look to 2016, one of the things is that series has continued to elevate to be really the second most popular in all of motorsports. Those drivers deserve more and more coverage, and we believe that the chase format will do just that. We saw it in the Cup Series where we're not just talking about 1 or 2 competitors or race teams, we're talking about 16. We expect similar results in the Xfinity Series and Camping World, where the focus will be on multiple teams And as Brian mentioned earlier, they've got to go out and win, and that's what we're all about as a sport.
Yep. So I'm going to trust my friend Josh Hamilton and Nicole Pettit to find 2 questions from the media. So if you could raise your hand, Nicole and Josh will find you, and then we'll transition to the next group. I think Reed's right there. Thank you, Josh.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. About the caution clock, is this a beta test perhaps for other series going forward, and will it affect tire allotments?
So it's for the Camping World Truck Series now. I think it's been something that we believe it fits perfectly for that series. You know, sure, we'll always look at it and see how it works and talk to the industry about it. You know, this is an idea that actually came from the industry and in the collaboration that Brian talked about earlier. So for now, we'll keep it there, and the tire allotments, yes, will be worked in with how we work the cautions. But it goes back to different strategies throughout the race, whether you're going to come in and take 2, 4, or 0 tires, and I think that adds to the strategy as well.
Take 2 more questions.
Yeah, Steve Al Pearson, Motor Week. Why a 20-minute break instead of 20 laps, maybe? Why time instead of laps?
It's a good question. Now, we looked at that. Obviously, our fans, know laps, but when we looked at it with all the different venues that we had, we wanted to try and be as consistent as possible if we could. And the clock just seemed to be something that fans are used to from all sports and looking at. It enabled us to just put a time versus trying to think of what lap it is on each individual racetrack. So we elected to go with time in this case.
All right.
Steve, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com, way in the back.
There you go.
This will be the 4th consecutive year that the Sprint Cup Series has a different rules package for the majority of the tracks. Is your expectation that that package will continue for a number of years, or is your expectation that there will be an additional new package next year?
I think we always look at it, but our expectation is that we want to put on the best racing possible. And to do that, I think you'll hear more and more about the collaboration within the industry and working with the race teams to ensure that we've got the best racing possible. So that's a result of what you're seeing this year. I think, Brian and Mike and Brent have talked about the collaboration process that got us to this point. So our intent is to stick with this, and then if we can make minor changes, that's what we'd like to do. But again, we've got to see how it plays out. Atlanta won't be, a one and done. This is what we're going to put in place for the year and see how it goes, and then know that we've got some great formats to look forward to as we head into the chase and drivers going after wins.
Thanks, Steve. Before we wrap up, can you, following up on Tom's question, how do you think Vegas went? What's the word from your team and the drivers? And
yeah, it's we've had terrific feedback. Goodyear has been a great partner through this process, getting the rules package to them earlier to let them match up the tires with the package. So the feedback we've received so far has been terrific.
all right. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate
Thank you.
the time.